maamulka Masjidka Umatul Islaam ayaa kulan weyn ku qabtay Masjidka Umatul Islaam ee ku yaala magaalada Minneapolis kadib casumaad ay u sameeyeen dad aan muslimiin ahayn oo deris la ah Masjidka Umatul Islaam. maamulka Masjidka Umatul Islaam ayaa kulamadan oo kale bisha barakeysan u qabta deriska oo aan muslimiinta ahayn. deriska ayaa aad u soo dhaweeyay ayna doonayeen inay wax ka ogaadaan maadaama ay bisha barakeysan ay dadka muslimiinta ay soomaan. dadkii ka soo qayb galay oo muslimiin ahayn ayaa aad u soo dhaweeyay aadna ugu faraxsanaa kulankan loogu yeeray. waa kulankiina wuxuu u dhacay sida tan.
Thank you for your time. I know it's the middle of the week. We appreciate it for your time being here tonight with us. We know that the time is so limited, and hopefully we'll make everything short, but there will be a lot of discussion, kind of like formal. There are a few things I would like to mention. First, we would like to do a few words for the to read for Quran, and after that, we would like to welcome our good friend Cynthia, and then we'll a little bit give you an update where we are at this place, the mosque, what we do, and also we'll talk about the relationship between us and the neighborhood, what we expect, what we're supposed to do, and that kind of stuff. And the last will be, we'll talk about a specific for this month, which is the Ramadan month. So I would like to welcome Sheikh Khalil, and inshallah we'll do translation as well. Brother Shukri will do on my right hand.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون. صدق الله العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek refuge with Allah from the evil Satan. Righteousness is not that you turn your faces toward the east or the west, but true righteousness is in one who believes in Allah, Almighty God, the last day, the angels, the books, and the prophets, and gives wealth in spite of love for it to relatives, orphans, the needy, the traveler, those who ask for help, and for freeing slaves, and who establishes prayer and gives zakah, those who fulfill their promise when they promise, and those who are patient in poverty and hardship and during battle, and those are the ones who have been true, and it is those who are the righteous. Quran chapter 2 verse 177. Thank you. So before Yasin comes up, I would like to say that these verses of Quran you can find in the second chapter of the Quran. The Quran is read from right to left. So if you were to open an English translation of the Quran, the first chapter, which is the opening chapter, that chapter is very brief. The second chapter is very long. So verse number 177 is where you would find this verse of the Quran. Thank you.
Inshallah, I would like to welcome my friend Cynthia. She has been a very supportful, helpful. We couldn't do without her.
I guess I'm the third welcoming person, and I just want to say a little bit. My name is Cynthia, and I'm connected to the Minnesota Council of Churches. Oh, I forgot to say Ramadan Mubarak to everyone. Shortly after 9/11, the Minnesota Council of Churches and the Muslim American Society Mass came together and said, what might we do in response to that? And what they did was to begin this Taking Heart program. And Taking Heart then has sort of snowballed, and they've had more and more people come to the mosques each year that the program has existed. Last year, 1,100 people participated in these dinners, which is really remarkable. As it is right now, we already have 22 mosques signed up to host these dinners, which is more than we've ever had before. Now, a funny story about this masjid is that at the very last moment, it was a week before Ramadan was to end, Yasin called me and said, we really want to do one of these dinners. And I said, yikes, there's no time to publicize. And he said, no, we really want to. And so I said, okay, and they had 20 people. And this year, they sold out. They reached their capacity, which is a really, really wonderful, wonderful thing. Just a couple more announcements, which is after the presentations, there will be discussion. And I think there's going to need to be a little rearranging so there can be at least one Muslim at each table for the discussion. So that'll take place then. And then when everything is done, the dinner and everything, some of you may have seen the blue and white Blessed Ramadan signs around some of the neighborhoods. I have some of them with me if you would like one. I do have to ask for a $10 donation, but I'll be doing that at the back. And then finally, someone just gave me, and I don't know where you went, some small flyers about an event that's taking place, I think maybe starting tomorrow, packing for Somalis. Anyway, packing food, right? Is that correct? Yes. There are flyers about that that you can also pick up on your way out. Thank you very much, and thank you for your gracious hospitality. We're so excited to be here and to learn more about you, the masjid, the things that you love, you know, the things that you care about, and to engage with each other. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. As you heard about, Cynthia has been really a support, not only this mosque, but all the way the Twin Cities areas. So again, appreciate it, Cynthia, for your support. And thank you, everybody, for your time. We know that it has been a short week, but thanks again. I would like to give you a few minutes, hopefully no more than 3 minutes, something about where we are in this location, what we do, and what is it for. As you heard about, it's a mosque. We also called masjid, similar to the name, the mosque. And it's a non-profit organization. It's a 501c. We've been here, or established this location about 10 years ago. So I would say exactly 10 years and 77 days. So the Imam corrected me earlier. I said about, but he always said 76 or 77. So today is 77 days. About a month ago, April 1st, we had a paid off of this place. So the building has been paid off. As you see, it's a twins building connected. Thank you. So the building has been paid off, as I mentioned earlier, and the money came from all of you, specific, those are donors, donations. Could be the neighborhood, could be anybody who willing to participate. That's how we paid off. It took us about over 10 years. So what do we do on this location? We do pray 5 times a day. Start from the before the sunset all the way to the sun. Before the sun goes down. So which is 5 times a day. We also do pray. What do we call Jummah or Friday prayer? Also, we have. We'll talk about later, but this month we have what we call Ramandaan. We also pray during the evening. As well as other big celebrations that has to do with prayer, such as after Ramadan, the 2 Islamic holidays. We have over 350 students that learns Islamic study during the weekend. Also during the school close time, during the summer, they also here about 2-3 months. And they do that Islamic study. We do have a youth program that we educate youth, both physical and mental. So we give the opportunity that they do need. We also give the education adults. We also give anyone who is not Muslim, would like to know about Islam, we also give their questions, answer, and if there any needs, any material, we provide as well. We also do what we call celebrations such as building a new families. When, for instance, 2 people, female and male, are going to marry, this is the place that they do the wedding. And if there is conflict, this is the place that we resolve the issues as well. We have the imams that give the best idea and thoughts to support the family issues. As well as we do have a big meetings, monthly meetings with the other Twin Cities imams, the leader of each mosque. We gather here, and we do have that monthly meeting as well. We also have meetings with the law enforcement, any other agencies that willing to know about us, the neighborhood, what we do, how can we prevent, the crime. These are the areas that we also do the meetings with law enforcement as well. We had visitors from local, international, national as well. If I mention some of those, we had Governor of Minnesota, Mark Dayton was here with us. Keith Allison, as all of you know that, he has been here 3 times as well. The mayor of Minneapolis, Betsy Hodges, was here. A couple of state senators was here as well. And as well as we have a representative from the sheriff's office, Regis Singh's office. We have Muhammad, who is also here tonight. So there's a whole lot we cannot cover only for 2-3 minutes, but hopefully there will be QAs later on. But again, these are some of the functions that we do here. So having said that, I will move to the next. And I would like to call the mosque, the imam, will talk about the neighborhoods and relationship. So let me call the Imam Ahmed Ibrahim, and I hopefully will have Mr. Jailan, who's sitting next to me.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Everybody, welcome.
After starting by saying in the name of God, the most merciful, most gracious, he said, "You're all welcome." I think that was not translated.
أنا كهذا اللي مقع مساجدك يا جماعة ديسا وحنا دلنا هاي مركز صوت لواذا خيارات فرابدان وكسر قيب قال مرتقاتك إيو قبض لي عمادتك معاملك هاي لما أنت ومحسنتين.
On behalf of the entire mosque and the congregants, we would like to thank all of you for being here, and I would like to also especially thank those who helped co-organize this event with us.
ستيفن مستر ستيفن وأهنيك قريجيس سيدات صنو عندنا هذه نقيم بانو هكا قال فلين يستقان على الله.
And I would like to especially invite and thank Mr. Stevens, who I lived in his house for 8 years, and I would like him to stand up to recognize him.
And deriska ama jaarku waxa weeye markay dadku meel wada joogaan islaam ahaan maadaama bulshadana ayna kala maarmaynin islaamku deriska iyo xuquuqda iyo waajibaadka isku leeyihiin meel aad u sareyso geeyay.
When we talk about the relationship of the neighbors and the role that the neighbors have in Islam, Islam has valued the neighbor in extremely high regards.
waqtiga daraadi aan soo gaabin haya ilaahay quraankiisa suurada saddexaad oo ah suurada labaad u dheer oo la yaqaan suurada haweenka suuratu nisaa waxyaaba ku leeyahay wuxuu isku xorayaa dadka ilaahay rumaysan baarinimada waalidka baari loo noqdo waxa weeyaan agoonta iyo dadka masaakiinta iyo deriska oo la xisaan falo ayuu isku xoreeyaa Rabbi subhanahu wa ta'ala buu isu keenayaa.
So as a big topic to talk about the responsibility of the neighbor, I wanted to shorten it a little bit, and I wanted to particularly focus on a verse in the Quran in the third chapter, which is called one of the larger surahs or chapters, the women's chapter or the Surah An-Nisa. In this verse, God talks about those who have rights on you, including the poor, the widows, and including those who are your neighbors.
النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم استوى كوراميا درس حقوق الإسكوليين أصحابته وحيدهن سيدو النبي قولها وردرسك وحنو ملايين وكوضا هادو مدقيريو إن حالك إسكوليين سيدو قويسو كليه.
And in the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, the companions report that at the time when the Prophet talked about the role or the importance of the neighbor, he classified them to the point where the companions thought that the role or the relationship of the neighbors would actually enter into that inheritance, so that the neighbors would actually, when someone passes away, the neighbors would actually have a right on the inheritance of the neighbor. قفك إلهي رميسن يا مالنت آخر قفك يا رميسن إيمان له وينو درسكيس شرفة احترام قدرية. And so even one of the traditions says that those who believe in God and the last day should also respect the rights and of their neighbors.
حديث كلام الرسول قولي هاي قفك إيمان مالي قفك درسكيس لبايا أو واحد درسكيس جالسين قفك إيمان ما بلبا.
And also the Prophet said that the person who does not respect his neighbor is the person who does not have faith. So to have faith is one of the requirements, is to have respect and duty for the neighbor.
حديث قالوا حولي هاي قفكو جنة مجاليو قف درسكيس أو جاجيسن أما حنوسن أما رفاسن أنك ورقبين قفكاس جنة مجاليو.
And in another tradition, you will not enter, people will not enter paradise, those who neglect their neighbor's needs by not knowing that their neighbor may be hungry or in need of something, and then that person actually has the chances of not entering paradise because of neglecting that aspect of knowing the needs of the neighbor.
حديث قدام بعي وحكى الرسول كلي هاي راحة الدون كلام جونا رحلة لسه حاكمين قف كلها أفر شيء وصية أفر شيء ونصوّدنا ورحلة الدون كمدهين أفر طبعا حاكمين كون قوري واسعة
So one of the other traditions is said that there are 4 blessings that people need to be counting on. Number 1,
guri waasaca
a spacious or comfortable space to live in,
gaadiid fiican
resources or to have,
guur fiican nin ama zawjo fiican
a good marriage or a good relationship,
iyo daris wanaagsan.
and the 4th one is a good neighbor.
saa daraadeed way dareemaysa xaafadaha dariska wanaagsan xataa guryahooda waa qaali.
And you know that it's the case because the neighbors' houses are really expensive.
marka waxaan taa ka wadaa waxay taa ka dhigan tahay darisku islaam ahaan wuxuu noqon karaa taqriiban waa magaalo dhan weeyaan darisku uu kala sokeeyaa magaalada Minneapolis waa wada daris weeyaan kadibna hareeraheena kadibna Minnesota darisku marka waa ballaaran yahay.
And so the concept of neighborhood or the concept of the neighbor is not defined by just the adjacent building. It actually is the entire city and the suburbs and as large as Minnesota. That all could fall in the definition of a neighbor.
10 sano meeshan aan degannahay oo dhowr boqol ciyaal ay joogaan jumcada ay ku tukatay 600 rabadaankii habeenkii la buuxo one single day hal maalin ma jiro oo xaruntan dhib ka dhacay ama dhib laga soo gaaray dariskanaga.
And since the last 10 years where there's nearly 400 or 500 people that pray on every single Friday and the number of people that come throughout the week, and all those 10 years, we've never had an issue to us or from the mosque to our neighbors.
Thank you again.
Well, I translated back. I just want to add one word since I'm standing here. Again, I thank all of you for being here. We are in a unique time in history where our nation is asking very important questions, and our neighbors are asking very important questions about who is Americans, who are Americans. And I think I spoke to a group of graduating class of students at Anoka Ramsey Community College, and I started off my talk by saying I am as Minnesotan as they get. And I told them my story, which is I moved here, my family immigrated in 1993, and actually our first apartment that we lived in was on 2727 First Avenue. So in early 1993, I used to ride my bicycle up and down on Lake Street here. And the reality is, as those questions are resurfacing, I think it's important to recognize that the history of Minnesota, as it's starting to change, is going to have more flavors. Our potato hot dish or tater tot hot dish and our lutefisk are going to have more flavoring and competitive things like the sambusas and other things. And I think it's important that we as communities talk to each other, learn from each other, because I get asked a lot of times through our trainings that we give through CARE. I'm the executive director of the civil rights organization CARE Minnesota. I've last year presented over to 7,000 people. And one of the number one questions I get asked is, how do I meet a Muslim or are you guys assimilated? And that just shows that the lack of we're not really engaging each other. And I'm really proud that you came here today. You were our guests today, and we thank you. And I look forward to the conversations again.
So, so for us who has been fasting all day, we're looking every second, the clock of the watch, everyone seeing where we are. I would not spend more time. We thought about we'll do the PowerPoint presentation, but we decided due to the time limit, we'll pass. I would like to have the wisdom, to share the wisdom with Brother Imam Abdul Salam. Tafadal.
Okay, thank you, Yasin. Good evening, everyone. Greeting of peace. We're really honored to have our neighbors and our friends at Umatul Islam Center. Imam Ahmed, thank you for opening the doors of the mosque to the community. I would like to kind of go in reverse because we don't have much time. So I would like to open the door for you to ask questions about Ramadan. I'm sure you've been hearing something. Some of you might have gone to iftars in the previous years. So we're kind of going to start with the questions so that what you really want to learn gets answered before I go over it, which is pretty much brief summary of it. So I'll do that at the end. So let's just start with any questions. Why did you choose to come here tonight? What are your thoughts about Ramadan? What are the lessons? Why are people starving themselves for 18 hours? I mean, what's the point? So please just raise your hand and ask questions. We'll start with that, yeah. Yes, please.
Is Ramadan the biggest is there another event that maybe really takes precedence over Ramadan?
Right, good question. Yeah, so one thing we need to understand, some of the terminology that we need to understand is, one is Ramadan. What does that mean? So the word Ramadan itself is the name of a month. So in the Islamic lunar calendar, the 12th month, the 9th month is called Ramadan, so it's the name of a month, okay? Then what happens during that month is fasting, which is abstaining from food, drink, smoking, even chewing gum, sexual relationship from pre-dawn to sunset. So we need to kind of clarify those two things. One is the month, and then what happens in that month is the fasting. So the act of worship that is a pillar of Islam, the fourth pillar, is the fasting. So actually the big event, this whole month is a fasting. Then when the month ends, is a holiday called Eid al-Fitr. Eid al-Fitr, which means feast of breaking the fast. So that's a major holiday in Islam. So after the 29 days or 30 days of fasting, the next day is Eid. So there's a major celebration, then people can start eating, that morning. So that's one. And then the other major holiday is in about after Ramadan by 2.5 months, and that's during the pilgrimage to Mecca. When the Muslims are in the annual pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia, then those who are not performing have that celebration called Eid al-Adha. Eid means feast, and then Adha means sacrifice, referring to Abraham's being asked or had a dream to sacrifice his son, and God replacing the son with a ram, which people of Judeo-Christian background are familiar with. So those are the two major holidays of Islam. So, but the main thing is Ramadan is a month, and separate from fasting. So let's get that a little bit clear. Okay, next. Yes, please.
And what is the purpose of the fasting during Ramadan?
Yes, so that's the key question. What's the purpose? Why fast? Why are people hungry up to this point? So there are several lessons. The first one is spiritual. So there's a verse of the Quran commanded Muslims to observe it. So for the believers, the fact that God says in the Quran that you should do something becomes obligatory to do it. And also the traditions or the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So religiously, it's mandated. And the way it's stated, it says, "O you who believe," referring to who you believe, fasting has been prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you. So who are those before us? I mean, so then the idea is that people of Judeo-Christian background, the earlier prophets before Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also observed this fasting, that you may attain taqwa. It's a word that means piety, awareness of God consciousness. So that's the main purpose. And then from there, it will follow that people need to refine themselves. They need to, hold themselves accountable, change their bad habits, connecting to the neighborhood, more worship, more reading of the Quran, all of this to satisfy God consciousness. And then, so being good to the neighbors comes in there, helping the needy comes in there. So sometimes we call it a school. It's a school that people graduate from. Like this 29, 30 days, there's so much change in people's ways and attitudes that there's a real change. So the purpose is that just being aware of God and being subservient to God and being a better person. Yeah. Good question. Yes, please.
I thought Ramadan has something to do with penance. It doesn't have anything, it's more of a worship rather than a penance.
Yeah. I mean, the penance comes after the worship. Why are people worshiping? To be forgiven, right? So through the prayers and the Quran recitation and the helping the others, then penance is attained. So forgiveness. Penance means forgiveness, right? Like God forgiving one's sins. So one's sins are erased or, washed.
From the previous year?
No. I mean from the...
Next year it will just be for the past year?
Yeah, for the past year. Yeah, for the past year.
And why the ninth one? Symbolism?
Because that's the month. I mean, that's just how it came in the Quran. Yes.
Okay.
Because there's another verse, the one that I said earlier, there's another verse that says, Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed. So it's named specifically that that's the month that Muslims should observe. So it's named in the Quran. Yes, please.
Do people lose weight?
Someone's listening. You have an answer to that, or?
Can I answer that?
Sure.
When you break the fast, you want to eat anything you can get your eyes on. So I have seen people who gain weight. So if you try to eat healthy, you might eat it. If not, if you eat anything you see after you break the fast, that's probably wrong.
Right. Thank you. So that, I mean, most people, I think they eat so much at sunset that they make up whatever they've been missing the rest of the day. So in most cases, I think losing or gaining weight is not, it doesn't come so much into the, to the formula. Usually people who gain even lose it right away after Ramadan or and so on, yes. Next.
How does the Islamic calendar compare to the Western calendar? Is Ramadan in Western calendar move around the year?
Yeah, so it's a lunar month. So it's when the new crescent is sighted, that's when the new month begins. And then when the following crescent, then that month has ended and the next one starts. So compared to the Gregorian calendar, there's a difference of 11 days each year. So it shifts by about 11 days every year. So it goes around. In 33 years, it makes a full circle. So like this year, we started May 27th. So subtract 10 days or 11 days from that. So it will be around May 17th. That's when it will be starting next year. Then it will move on to April and kind of goes around there. So 11 days difference, or 10, some years it's 10 days, some years 11 days.
So Ramadan, the days are shorter in the winter.
Very much, yes. There's a time we used to eat at 4:30 a.m. 4:30 p.m. Can you believe 4:30? Yeah. 93, yes. Yes, please.
Do the elderly and children also observe Ramadan? Do they fast? Or what's the kind of age range of people that are observing?
That question is who fasts. So basically, that has some beauty and welcome in my brother. So who fasts and who's exempt from fasting? That's a question that has both sides. So every Muslim who is sane, like somebody who is mentally, is not required to fast until they know what they're doing, and who is also mature or has attained the age of puberty, and who is resident, that's not traveling. So these are the people that are required to fast. So it has to be a Muslim, has to be mature, like puberty, attain the age of puberty, is resident, not traveling, as a kind of option for them. And also not, those are the ones who are required to fast. And then people who are exempt from fasting. Somebody who is sick, is really sick, they can break the fast and make it up after the month. A woman when she's pregnant, a breastfeeding woman, like if they need that for their baby, they will break their fast. Or they will not have to fast and they will make it up afterwards. Somebody who's too old, let's say they're in their 90s and they can't handle it anymore, then they don't have to fast completely. But instead, they will feed a needy person for each day. Okay? Somebody who is sick, like chronic illness that's continuous, they're not going to heal from, also the same thing. They will feed a needy person instead of fasting. Good question.
It's my understanding there's two major sects of Islam, the Sunni and Shia. Are there any differences between how each of those sects, the denominations of Islam, would celebrate Ramadan?
To the best of my knowledge, the Somalis generally are Sunni Muslims, so that's the one that I'm more familiar with. But as far as I know, the Shia also observe Ramadan the same time, the same month, and the same method. That's my understanding. So both observe Ramadan the same way. That's my understanding. Yeah.
You mentioned the act of prayer 5 times a day. How does it change during Ramadan versus a regular part of the calendar year?
Yeah, so this question is about the prayers, the 5 daily prayers. Does it change in Ramadan compared to the rest of the year? It doesn't, because it just depends on the sunrise and sunset. So the first prayer is about an hour and a half before sunrise. So right now it's around 4:40, I think, like today or yesterday was around 4:40 a.m. That's the time that Muslims stop eating, and that's the time of the morning prayer. And then the next one is around 1:10 at this time of the year, like today. And then the next one is around 5:20, let's say. And then the fourth one is, well, now almost there at sunset, which is going to be around 8:55, maybe 8:55, 8:54 today. And then the last one is at night. So it just depends on the sunrise, sunset. However, there's more worship in Ramadan than the other times of the month. Like after eating, around in some mosques 10:30, in some mosques 11 tonight, there's a service that continues until midnight. So that's specific to Ramadan. So all the mosques are having service, and therefore people also struggle with sleep, at this time of the night, because you finish that service around midnight or 1 a.m., you try to sleep, you have to wake up again to eat, the meal at around 4:30, and then so it's that's another test of faith that people go through. Yes. Yes.
Have you ever thought about going to southern Argentina for Ramadan when it's in June when
I think we'll just wait for winter. So I think it's almost about time. So what's going to happen now is when the time of the break in the fast comes, a call to prayer is made, what's called adhan. And then when that happens, then people start breaking their fast with dates or water or juice or some kind of liquid. And then the Muslims will pray a prayer in the mosques on the other side. And then after the prayer, we'll have our full meal. So that's what's going to happen.
Jazakallah. Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, that's a few minutes for our brother Abdul Salam's wisdom, but hopefully we could have more than that. As a little bit you heard about, it's the call for the prayer. We're going to go and pray. We'll be back. When we come back, I would like to have a mixed QA, kind of like, integrations, so that please do not sit with your best friend.
يا رمضان سلام مرحب شعب المسلمين رحب منتظرين بنترهب زادنا صيامنا ما بنلعب
مرحب بك في كل دار فرحانين صغار وكبار نتآلف نزور كل جار ننفق صدقة للإفطار
مرحب بك
في كل دار
فرحانين
صغار وكبار صلاة تراويح نلينا شعار ونلقى البركة في الأسحار
يا رمضان سلام مرحب شعب المسلمين رحب منتظرين بنترهب زادنا صيامنا ما بنلعب يا رمضان سلام مرحب شعب المسلمين رحب منتظرين بنترهب زادنا صيامنا ما بنلعب